Tyre Nichols.
Tyre Nichols.
Being struck with a baton, kicked in the head.
Police officers tasing, pepper spraying, and brutally beating 29-year-old Tyre Nichols.
All 5 officers are black.
Police who killed Tyre Nichols were black.
5 black men.
Welcome to another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations with Emmanuel Acho. Now, it's been said, and data will support, that historically in this country, our police officers have at times unfairly and harmfully targeted black people. So what happens when the police officers are black people? I'm joined now by Officer Jeremy Bohannon, Sergeant Tonya Thomas, and Detective Mike Rhone. Sergeant Thomas, let's talk about the most volatile thing we've really seen this year in policing, the murder of Tyre Nichols. What went through your mind when you saw the beating and the murder of Tyre Nichols, if you did in fact watch it? What went through your mind?
From what I saw on that video, chills went through my body. I was disgusted, I was hurt, I was appalled. More so also, it was our people, my people that was involved in this.
When you say my people, you saying black people, you saying
Black officers, yes, black officers. I was appalled. I felt disrespected. I felt like, how dare you guys? We have fought so hard to have things and you're sending us back. I just felt like, I couldn't believe it. I was totally shocked.
Mike, the murder of Tyre Nichols was caused by black men. The murder of George Floyd was caused by a white man. So was there a emotional or mental difference between you watching the murder of George Floyd, a white man killing a black man, versus watching the murder of Tyre Nichols, black men killing a black man?
Very good question, because when you posed that, I was like, ooh, that's a good question. I think the George Floyd, that was just, there was no words, and it was sickening to watch it. Just not moving, waving at people. That just what replays in my mind when I hear about George Floyd.
My initial reaction when I saw the murder of Tyre Nichols, I was like, why'd they have to be black? It will undermine the progress that black people are trying to collectively make as one when a black group of black individuals, and officers at that, murder another black. And that's the first thing that went through my mind after the emotional vitriol and just disgust and pain was, why'd they have to be black?
And you don't see that.
Did you have that same sort of reaction?
Absolutely, 100%. And you don't see that. I know there's body cam footage out there, but you just don't see what we saw. Not from African Americans.
At the point in which black officers were responsible for the murder and the death of Tyre Nichols, then is it even still a race issue in your mind, or is it now a system issue? Is the system gotten so bad where even black officers look down on black people?
Yes, I just still think it goes back to the core, because it'd be a different conversation if the subject was white or if the officers were white.
I would definitely say that it's both, right? When you become a police officer, especially this culture that we talk about, there are people that will tell you, hey, you're no longer black, you're blue now. You're a cop, you're one of us. I've had a lot of people tell me that. Or, hey, because you feel this way, you're not one of us anymore. And now, I want to ostracize you because you think that all cops are racist.
Mike, how do you feel when you hear, because you made a sound effect and I felt it across the room. How do you feel when you hear you're no longer black, you're blue now?
I just say that's the furthest from the truth. I've been black all my life, and it's the uniform.
Let's talk for a second about the phrase black on black crime. We hear that often, black on black crime. Now, typically we hear it as a distraction mechanism, right? If there is a racially charged white person killing a black person, a racially charged situation, often there will be an outcry. But what about black on black crime? What about black people killing black people? Now, obviously data shows that intraracial violence happens across all ethnic groups, across all cultural barriers. But with the murder of Tyre Nichols, we literally saw it play out black on black crime. When you hear that phrase, black on black crime, Jeremy, what do you think?
I think just like what you said, I think it's a dog whistle. It's just crime. You know, you don't hear white on white crime. You don't hear all these other things. But for some reason we have this, well, what about black on black crime? And then what about Chicago? And what about, instead of focusing on what's happening in your community or what's happening across the board, crime is crime.
Given the fact that there are implicit biases within people, all people, black people, white people, whatever culture you come from, we all have our own implicit biases based upon what the culture has taught us and told us. Do you all think that you all as black individuals, or the black individual on average, is better off apprehending a black suspect than a white individual?
No. I just in general, the only reason why I say that is because it comes down to communication sometimes when you're dealing with people, right? What's your vibe you're putting out? When you're going on, we have to understand as police officers, we escalate the situation as soon as we get there, okay? And so you have officers, white, Hispanic, Asian, doesn't matter, that are really good at their nonverbal cues, their verbal cues, and can de-escalate people just based off of the way that they're approaching people. So I don't think it's just hey, this type of officer needs to deal with this type of person. It's that officer that has empathy in their heart, can calm down, has kindness, and can deal with the situation of what they have and not be so high strung every single time just because they're in the uniform.
Tonya, I saw you respectfully disagree.
Because I can see it sometimes, it's different. When I feel like I can communicate differently or operate different and get through to an African American better than my counterpart.
Why is that? Because obviously you're operating under the umbrella of the law. So it's not like you're bending the law as a black person for a black person. But why do you think you can communicate maybe more efficiently or effectively with a black person than your white counterpart?
I think it's trust. They're gonna trust me and trust that I'm gonna be fair and I'm gonna treat you fairly. As to my counterpart, their feeling may not. So I'm African American, you are, we're from the same world.
You have to know about Hispanic culture, African American culture, Asian culture, know who to talk to, how to talk to. So you work that, but you have to be willing to do that.
I'd rather have a different officer work on their empathy and building connection with people that don't look like them, because that's what's going to change the culture. That's what's going to get people to understand, okay, hey, they're not that bad. Let me just understand them a little more.
Yeah, it all comes down to trust. I love the quote, no one cares what you know until they know that you care. I think that is a pervasive thought in society that we must learn how to abide by. Like, I don't care what you know, all the jargon, all the laws, until I know that you care about me. Let's talk about the uniform and the badge. What is it about the uniform that leads to corruption of police officers?
So the main thing about the uniform is power, right? We have an enormous amount of power to affect anybody's day. And so because we've been granted this power, a lot of people don't know what to do with it sometimes. And so you can see how easily, if somebody doesn't really know how to handle the power that they're given, and they also don't have the accountability where somebody's saying, hey, don't do this, don't do that, or if you do this, you will be held accountable for it. It makes it easier, and it breeds this feeling that, hey, I can do what I want. I'm not going to get in trouble for it.
Is the system corrupt?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. And the reason why I wouldn't say that, because I know that there are people within the system that want to make sure that it's not.
Mike, not this system, not speaking of Austin, but is the system corrupt?
I think you have individuals in the system that are corrupt.
Who's going to police the police?
First, it starts with ourselves. It starts with us. It's about starting with you first. And then from there, after you know where you're at and what biases you have, what you need to do to take care of things, then you move to others that are around you within this department.
A lot of times we don't do a good job policing ourselves. You have friendships, you have people that you do work with that you're trying to protect. You know, I seen somebody, I can't remember what state they're in, and they had talked about, you know, go ahead and call my supervisor. He's got my back. You know what I mean? And it's like, when you see stuff like that, it just adds to that lack of trust. It's like, okay, well, I can't even trust that if you do something wrong and I talk to your supervisor is going to have your back regardless. Blue Lives Matter. What do you feel when you hear the phrase Blue Lives Matter in response to the initial phrase of Black Lives Matter? I don't like it. I want to get to a point where we don't have to say Black Lives Matter, and we can truly say that all lives do matter. We can truly say that, or we don't need that. But when Blue Lives Matter started, it was more of a, this is against you. Like, we're going to stand on the other side of the fence, and we're going to say this against what you're saying. And I've never seen myself as a blue life. And it goes back to when I talk about how some people just can't separate themselves from this uniform. It's easy for me to do that because when I take this uniform off, I still have to go, you know, I go to the club with my family and they're going to pull me to another line and search me and charge me an extra $20 and tell my wife, this is a true story, and tell my wife that they're just protecting all the people from Black people. You know what I mean? And so I still have to deal with that. I still have to deal with my son being told at the pool that Black people don't deserve to live. I still have to deal with that. That happened right here in my community when my son was 6 years old. That literally happened in 2019.
And he was at a pool.
What's that? At the pool, playing with his friends. A new kid came. He was a couple years older and didn't want to play with them and told him that Black people don't deserve to live.
How'd you respond to that?
I wasn't there, thankfully. My wife was there, but she did a great job responding.
Sergeant Thomas, when you think about what you have had to deal with, what name calling, what racial slurs, what have and when have you had to deal with that?
I typically have had to deal with that more with African Americans. I can honestly tell you I've never been called the N-word by anyone that was white. I have had it from my own people. I've been called, I arrested one female. She was in the back of my car. She called me a nappy-headed, okay. And I have to not say anything because of the uniform, because of policy, things of that nature. Would I have responded in any other way? No. Because I know within, this is just a job that I'm doing.
So knowing how Black people feel about Black officers, why did you all choose to become police officers?
Once I started thinking about it, I felt like I could really go in there and make a change and be that positive person to make my community and other communities feel safe and better.
For me, I love working with children, and initially wanted to be a school teacher, but found that I have so much more that I can give to the community if I focused on going into law enforcement. So once I got here, I found several different avenues of where I can be that influence on so many different children and so many different levels.
Just helping people. I mean, why get into this profession if you don't want to help people?
What can practically be done to bring reconciliation, peace, and completely or move towards eliminating the deaths and the murder of Black people in society?
You have to attack the ignorance so that you don't lead to fear, which then leads to hate, which leads to destruction. And so you do that by coming together. You have to start somewhere. You have bridges built, but nobody's crossing over. Nobody's crossing over the bridge and trying to meet people where they are. And so I think that's the start. So then you can start building empathy. You can start building connections with people. Once you start building connections with your community and people know you, they know who you are, that's a level of accountability right there. Why would you go into that community now and deliberately cause harm?
I'm going to say this because this is the way I feel. After 25 years of doing this job, seeing the things that I have seen, we carry a gun. We have things that we can and can't do as law enforcement. Will we be able to just completely eliminate this one officer who goes rogue and starts doing something he shouldn't do. That's almost impossible. Can I sit and say that we will never have another African American shot by the hands of police officers? No, I can't make that statement. Could it decline in numbers? Yes, with some of the things that he's talking about. Will it completely stop? No, it can't. I can't sit here and be honest to you to tell you it will stop.
At the end of the day, we could be sitting here right now and there could be another shooting going on. But all that equipment Jeremy has on, cuffs, the cameras, the greatest thing, in my opinion, is your voice.
Of all that equipment, the greatest thing he has on him is his voice. I love that. Well, Jeremy, thank you. Tonya, thank you. Ike, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Uncomfortable Conversations with Emmanuel Acho. It starts with conversations, but that is just the beginning, because after conversation, we need to see action. And with action will come reconciliation. We'll see you next time.